Welcome to today's webcast where we're going to talk about how AI can influence customer experience. This is the third part. This is the last part of a three-series webcast where we have been talking about SEEKs and bots. And today I have a very interesting speaker who used to be a colleague of mine from Goodyear. But before I introduce you to the topic of the day and to the speaker, let me update you on a couple of housekeeping rules. During the webcast, you can ask questions via the chat box that appears on your screen. You also can view the full screen presentation if you want to. This is a webcast about AI, machine learning, customer experience. If you think that your network, your colleagues would be interested in this topic, please feel free to share the webcast. It will be available on demand after this program. By attending this webcast, you can earn CP credits. To be able to do that, you need to type in your name, which will appear 3 times during the webcast. Also, at the end of the webcast, we have a small evaluation form. We would be very happy if you could fill that out. My name is Demet Tunç. I lead the Customer Experience Council at the Conference Board, which is a group of senior executives leading customer experience for their own company across the different sectors. And AI is always a hot topic in our agendas, and that is why I wanted to invite Luisella Gianni today to attend us. Welcome, Luisella.
Thank you, Demet.
It's a pleasure to have you here. I know Luisella for quite some time because we used to work together at Goodyear. She was leading digitization at Goodyear while I was responsible for marketing. And today we're talking about AI. We're almost in 2020, and actually Luisella started to make a career in AI in long time ago. And while she was about to become have a PhD on AI, she was appointed by
eBay.
So she started her career in eBay, and after that she had a couple of roles in big companies such as Goodyear, DuPont, and so on. Today she's responsible for industry transformation at Oracle for EMEA region. Beyond that, I know that she's so passionate about digital. She's a thought leader. She speaks in several events. She's very knowledgeable about it. And when I asked her what's the impact of AI on customer experience, we immediately went into a very passionate discussion. I said, okay, let's continue the discussion so that the audience can hear us. And today the audience is very broad. Actually, we have people attending from Texas all the way to Hong Kong, and we are based here at the heart of Europe in Brussels. Okay, well, again, Luisella, thank you. So people are talking about AI. We know that AI stands for artificial intelligence. If I go in Wikipedia, if I ask for the definition, what will I get? What does AI stand for?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And actually, you know, the point is that there is still a lot of confusion about artificial intelligence. You know, if you tap into Wikipedia, probably what you do have is like a definition, like, okay, is like the tentative to create machine that they can think like humans. But then in reality, is often an umbrella term. So it means that AI stands for a lot of things. So it includes a lot of different disciplines. And for instance, what I always like to start with is to understanding the word. I mean, if you think about the word intelligence, you know, is also a really vague word. Also, when we use it, I mean, often with intelligence, the definition is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. But, you know, the point is that sometimes how we do measure intelligence. I mean, we also, through the years, we try to find, you know, all these IQ test, all these measurements to define if someone is intelligent or not. But if you see the evolution of it, also, in the 50s, intelligence was considered mainly logical, mathematical intelligence. Right now, we understood that also artistic intelligence, naturalistic intelligence, emotional intelligence is important. So, we even don't know what intelligence is. That's a first point. And second, if you think about the word artificial, is also, maybe it's not the best word. What does it mean? Artificial means something fake, something that is not genuine, something that is like made to deceive us. So probably people, when they hear the word artificial intelligence, they think, what is it? They don't really understand it. So there is also this kind of refusal of having this concept. And on top of it, I believe that there is also a lot of myth about artificial intelligence. What does it mean? Often we think about robots or like this super intelligence that would like to dominate humans. This is like a bit some of the storytelling from movies and so on. We are luckily far, far, far away from this. So the reality is that most of the time we do use machine learning. So that is a specific way of writing algorithms. And then when we are speaking about artificial intelligence itself, it includes a lot of different disciplines. And by the way, back to what I was telling before, we should not using maybe artificial intelligence. Many analysts, they suggest we should use augmented intelligence or like cognitive computing because it's more correct. I always like, to counterpart all the myth around artificial intelligence with a quote from John McCartney. Actually, he was a researcher at MIT who, back in the 50s, so in 56, he coined the term artificial intelligence. And he was saying, okay, people, as soon as it works, no one will call artificial intelligence. And I like this because what is happening is like similar to every technology. Just think, about your washing machine. You are not scared by your washing machine because you simply use it and you take the benefit. And this is what is going to happen also with artificial intelligence, because, for instance, we are using and taking benefit of AI and machine learning every day. So every time you watch Netflix, and Netflix is going to propose you some series and movie that you like, this is done through a machine learning algorithm that actually is learning from your preference and is suggesting you what you should watch because knows that it's perfectly matching with what you like. Same, if you listen to Spotify, it's proposed new songs, it's going to say, okay, if you like this band, you probably like also that band. And so we are taking advantage of it also in e-commerce and so on. And simply we don't know what is behind. So that's the point. When it's working, you don't know, you simply use it and you take benefit.
So AI actually is helping the companies, the brands, to identify the preferences of the consumers, so that they get a better or they get a smooth customer experience from the products they use, from the services they use, right? So and I know that many companies today are investing in AI, machine learning. There's always a budget allocated to it, and it seems to be the hot topic. 10 years ago, digitization, you need it to be digitized, otherwise you were in the Stone Age. And now today it's AI. You need to have AI, machine learning, otherwise you're in Stone Age. And that's why a big budget is allocated to this part. But I also wonder how efficiently the companies are using this budget to really address the consumer needs, and how do they make sure that the budget is spent for a good purpose, not wasted?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I will also have a question also for our audience. If in your company you do have a budget allocated to AI and machine learning, so it will be really interesting to get also your view, your point.
So the question is, how much budget is allocated, or what percentage of?
If you do have, and if you do have, how much is it allocated?
Okay. So the question is, in your company, do you have a budget allocated for AI? You may not know the absolute figure, but you might have maybe a guess on the percentage of a marketing spend. I don't know where it usually sits. It spends, it's sliding all over the place.
It could sit in different functions. That's a good
function. So the question is, does your company have a budget in AI? And if yes, do you have an idea how much that is, or what percentage of that budget amongst the total marketing spend, for example? You could write your responses in the chat box, and when appropriate, I will let Musella know the answers.
Thank you. And also to reply to your question, I mean, you are right. I mean, often, but this is a consequence a bit of the hype that we do have now on AI and machine learning. I mean, now there is kind of, you must have a kind of AI because otherwise you are not competitive. Often companies, they just, let's say, they don't do the right investment. My suggestion would be first, I mean, the way machine learning works is thanks to data. So first you need to have a kind of a good understanding where are your data, harmonizing your data, and your data usually called first party data, the one you own, and be sure you can use them also to train machine learning algorithm. And then also you should understand that if you can get third party data, so it means data that you can either buy or you can get also from your partner, because these are helping to have a better knowledge, of your customer. And this is extremely important. And, I would like also to explain why now, because sometimes, and believe me, I got a degree on artificial intelligence back to 2005, so it's not a new topic. Also, let's say the theories we are working right now is not new, it's something from the 60s. We are working on all the framework. The problem when I got a degree and even before is that we didn't have fast enough data. So just think that about 90% of data available we do produce ourselves with our activity online. So it means whenever you are like on social media, whenever you are in e-commerce, whenever you are on LinkedIn, you do produce data. And this is what is feeding, all those systems that are also capturing our preferences and permit also to offer better customer experience because it's knowing us. Then, also we didn't have at that time enough processing powers. So the typical example, like a computer big as this room, now you have in your pocket because it's your smartphone. I remember when I was writing my thesis for the degree, I was using the computer from Sineca that was, a research center that was a huge computer. I mean, right now we have really small stuff. So obviously the processing power to process the data now we do have, before we didn't have. And obviously we developed some data models. So it means we were refining some technique like machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, that again, the theories were there, but we were not able to activate and refine because we didn't have enough data and enough processing powers. And so that's the reason why in the latest 5-6 years, we had this booming of AI. And then, obviously, sometimes we don't remember that machines are intelligent because we feed them with data.
We make them intelligent.
Exactly, we make them intelligent. And then often also when you train a model, is always a human and a machine together. So you are the subject expert of your domain. You train the machine to do some activities. And then once you train, then the machine can obviously learn also by itself. And for instance, it's extremely important. We will give then later some example about chatbot or voice bot. The point is that more the chatbot interact also with customer, more is able to learn. And the companies that are implementing it right, what they do, they always foresee that there is a fast interaction with the chatbot, Then, let's say, if the chatbot doesn't understand you a couple of times, there is always a human being that jump in and say, hey, you know, now you talk with a human. And this is also used also to train the chatbot, because it means that I encounter a case that may be something new and doesn't know how to deal with. But again, I mean, data are important and humans are important to train machine learning, because again, they are not intelligent by themselves. We make them intelligent.
So we got some responses to the question you raised. Good. Do you have a budget? Yes, they do have a budget. Mm-hmm. They are not aware about the absolute value or the percentage of it in their company.
Okay.
I also want to remind the audience about one thing. Luisella comes with so much experience and knowledge across the industries. And she has a presentation where she will share with us some examples, use cases from different companies. But if you want to ask for a specific example, not for a specific industry, please do so. And if she is knowledgeable about it, she can also give you some best case examples. So if you have questions in a specific industry on how AI and machine learning is applied, if you're curious about it, please send us the question.
Yeah. Thanks. And yeah, exactly, because I'm just going to share some cases, because, you know, I always believe that some concrete examples are better than, you know, theories. Mm-hmm. But again, I mean, if there are like special requests, we can then have a chat and review some cases.
So coming back to the budget issue, they have a budget, but the amount is not known.
For me, the question, I mean, sorry, I do have a second question for the audience. Is this budget dedicated to AI focused on customer experience, or is dedicated to something else?
That's a great question. So you say that there's a budget allocated. What do you think that budget is used for? What's the purpose for it? Is it to improve customer experience? Is it to decrease costs? Is it to improve the efficiency? Is it to increase the productivity? What do you think the AI in your company is used for? What's the purpose?
Great. And the reason why I'm asking this question is linked to what I'm just going to share with you right now. Because, I mean, what you can read here, I mean, I wrote like the customer experience golden era. So we are really entering in a fabulous time for customer experience. And why? Because we do have AI, and I wrote here big data. You read to scale love. What does it mean? My view of customer experience, and maybe we can debate about this, is that if you just know your customer really well, so you know what are their preferences, what they like, what they dislike, it means that you can also show some actions, some activities that could span, you know, from having the right communication, having the right offer, having the right service at the right time. But finally, you show that you love your customer, because, you know, if you love someone, you exactly know what this person likes and what this person doesn't like. And then, I mean, you act accordingly. So today, I mean, with artificial intelligence and big data, we do have first the possibility to know our customer much better than before, because we were sharing, we can collect data from our customer from different sources. We can match those data and in a way design a profile of our customer that probably is matching the reality, but we can also listen our customer, you know. If you have this feedback loop, you can improve your knowledge. And then, thanks to AI, we can sometimes also, I will say, scale and automatize some activities and also benefit from machine learning to analyze this big amount of data in a really fast way and identify also some patterns that otherwise we wouldn't be able to do.
The predictive analysis.
Exactly. And we can predict, and I will go a bit deeper into this, we can predict also what our customer is going to do. Okay. But, you know, I would like,
I want to tell you the responses. So we have some responses, and people say that the AI budget is used to improve the end user, the external customer experience. Okay. And I have a great response here. But it is also used for internal associates and employees.
Interesting.
We just had the Customer Experience Council this week, 2 days, with companies joining from different industries. And our main topic was how employee experience relates to customer experience.
Yeah.
If you have happier employees, so they turn into happier customers.
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes. The hard part is how to do this, how to make it real. But here, one of the responses is like not only to improve the customer experience, but also the employee experience.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that's a really good point, and I'm just going to make some example. You know, I do have the slide later, but we can come back later to this. We do often do, I think FAST, is really good. I'm really happy to listen that someone already understood that the employee experience is as much as important as the customer experience. Because, you know, often we do think that employees shouldn't be treated so well as customer, and it's wrong because, you know, they are your first customer, and it's good to hear this. Then, for instance, also artificial intelligence can be useful to it. For instance, what we are doing in many companies is to use, obviously, there are a software for, you know, talent management. Again, as a company, you do have a lot of information about your employees and what this software, what AI can do. You know, since you do have a lot of information about your employees, it's going to suggest you also what is the best action you can do in a certain context. And usually, an algorithm can do much better than you, because just imagine you have hundreds or thousands of employees. Probably you are not aware by heart about, you know, when was the last time a person was promoted, or what are the personal interests of this person. Maybe this person like doing volunteering activity, or this person like to run marathons, or maybe you don't know the context. So actually the system, what it does, since analyze all this data, not only your internal data, but also get external information from, what is, for instance, the salary range for a certain role, what are the trends in the market and so on, is going to suggest you for each person what is the action you should do. So maybe with someone you should increase the salary, because compared to, the market, the person maybe doesn't, the comp ratio is not enough compared to what you can find in the market. In other cases also is really good on suggesting how to please the person, how to retain the person with alternative activities. Maybe a person, really like to run marathons, and maybe, like to have some Friday free for doing some activities. You can suggest, you can say, hey, okay, do you want to participate in the New York Marathon? Okay, really, I sponsor it, also as a company, and maybe can become also a company activity. So all of these, those are just basic example, but is the concept about analyzing all the information and having an algorithm suggesting you the best action to do in a specific context for that single individual. There is also another aspect where we use artificial intelligence. It's called best fit candidates. What does it mean? A lot of companies are starting using algorithm also to review what are, you do have a job posting out, and you just have an algorithm that is scanning also the CV and all the, the application of someone, and based on certain rules, is going to give you an indication about, in his view, who will be the best candidate, the best fit for a certain role. Obviously, this is an interesting topic, because
but I find it a bit scary. If we're talking about humans, and we're talking about recruiting somebody in a company, and without having the human touch, and just looking at algorithms from a CV or from the words used, that could be quite misleading.
And you are absolutely right. I was going to introduce this topic, because for me it's an interesting topic for debate, because I think a lot of discussion about this, because one of the risks, for instance, is that an algorithm is not only that it's not human, but is biased. So, and actually, there are a lot of discussion about the problem is that the algorithm is not biased because it's biased itself, but usually it's trained by human that can be biased, especially when we are talking about, hiring someone. All of us, we have stereotype, and all of us, we have biased. I mean, maybe you can be aware or not aware, that's the difference. So actually for instance, what is the next generation of this kind of algorithm is also to give to double check that there are, minimize the bias as much as possible. So it means you can train the algorithm, this is trained by not one person only, but a pool of people. So in this case, it is harmonizing and balancing different bias that people can have. But also is not an algorithm that is substituting a human. It's not the concept. It's like telling you what the algorithm found out. So it's a kind of dashboard that you can look at and see some suggestion of the algorithm based on certain criteria that you do set.
It should help you, suggest you with it.
Suggest.
Yeah. But you shouldn't go that direction.
No, you shouldn't go, into substitution, because that's, but it's always what we say. It's like, it's the collaboration between machine and human, because I think still there is, and it's part a bit of the myth. Okay, machines are really good in analyzing a big bunch of data and also into finding patterns that maybe you don't find because they're really weak sign, and then to give some suggestion or to, it's like, sharing what they found out about this, and then is your human judgment, obviously, to just select and to decide, because I also think, especially in hiring, for me is also the
human touch.
The human touch.
Interaction,
meeting the person, having a chat, exactly. And obviously this is not something that can be substituted. So it should be seen as a support, as an help. Also, especially in some cases where, recruiters, they have, to look at hundreds and hundreds of CV. And so maybe, could be a support in the sense, maybe the algorithm can be a bit more detailed of you spending 1 second for each CV.
Okay. We have several questions from the audience.
Okay.
One question is, in what industries do you see AI growing the fastest from an adoption standpoint?
Yeah. That's a really good question. I do see in retail that is a lot of adoption. I think almost, and it's really funny because I was also checking what are the best and worst company in CX, because I had a bad experience yesterday. And the Met knows, because I was trying to move my flight and was not the best customer experience, was really bad. So I checked which industry. And, it's really funny to see, really interesting that for me, retail and consumer goods are adopting AI a lot. The fastest, and you see they are like the one scoring as the best in customer experience. So this is really interesting. And then, retail, and if we look about more function, I think marketing is the one adopting customer experience, AI and machine learning, and also commerce are really fast. And in commerce, it's easy to understand why, because it's like all the there is a clear benefit that is upselling and cross-selling. Usually there is a difference. In the past, you saw in e-commerce, maybe people who bought that bought also this and that. You had a kind of suggestion, but those suggestions were really static. And, I call it, the red shoes stalking me, because often, you bought something, like imagine you bought some red shoes, and then you had like, okay, why you don't buy red shoes? And you think, okay, no, it doesn't make any sense, And this was happening because the system, they were like using historical data, either for yourself or people similar to you, to suggest what to do in that moment. So using historical data, often you had some suggestions that were like not anymore valid. So they were not taking what we call now the micro moment. So the moment where you want to do something. Now, what we do instead, we do use not only the historical data, but often we do use also, let's say, third-party data that are helping to have a better profile of the customer. but more we do use the browsing session data. So what you do in this browsing session is used for the suggestion. So the suggestion is really contextual. So if I'm looking for trekking shoes, I will get as a suggestion, maybe you need also, a trekking jacket or some item that are really contextual for what you are doing now. And that's the reason why in commerce there is a strong adoption, because it's really proved that can offer some better experience also.
Okay. I want to continue with the questions.
Yeah.
You may not be able to cover all your slides,
No
but
problem.
I think having this
Yes.
interaction is also good. Have you seen companies manage the possible risks of implementing AI in their business? They are liable for the actions of a black box that they may not have a true and full understanding of.
Yes, that's a really, really good question, because I think there is a lot of, obviously it depends by the company you work with. I mean, there are, two main approach. I mean, some companies, they have a black box approach. So it means, okay, you give me the data, then I do my magic inside and I give you the result. And I don't advise to do it. My advice is to look for, companies that are explaining you clearly what is happening behind. Also because, sometimes, if you don't know exactly what are the different steps taken when, you train an algorithm, you can also improve the training and you can improve the result. So black box is something that I would prefer to stay away, when possible. There are some cases, this is a generalistic reply, but maybe in some cases there are some need of having a black box approach, but I think you can always have explanation about what's behind, what's the algorithm running it, how they are used, what are the data used, and most important also, especially when you start using a new algorithm, double check the result, because sometimes the output, here the human is really important, because you have a beginning, you have an output, so you can also say this output is right, is wrong, and thanks to this you train better the system.
So there's always the human touch, even if we speak about machine learning, AI, and so on.
Yeah.
I'll continue with the other question. How do you think data privacy requirements will impact or slow down the adoption of AI?
Another really good question. I really like that the audience is really well prepared. So, no, and it's really interesting because, for instance, I was actually in London at DLA Piper conference. DLA Piper is a big legal firm. And it was interesting because with the panel, I had also a representative from, the European Commission, and we were discussing the data. Obviously, there are two different views. I'm an optimistic in terms of technology, and I believe that we can take a lot of benefit from AI. Obviously, we need to have access to the data. And in this case, third-party data are extremely important. Why? Because when you have third-party data are all anonymous, but obviously if I do have, if a company has information not only about what I've done in one e-commerce site, but also what I've done in other websites, can better understand my interests and can better be precise in having a right profile of me.
But there the privacy issue comes into place?
Yes and no, in the sense if these the third-party data are always anonymous. It's true, and this is like the tricky point, and where probably, they are putting some additional rules, even beyond the GDPR, that is related to grouping. So how it works right now, you just compare, for instance, the Met and Louisella, and you say, okay, the Met and Louisella, they have a similar lifestyle, and it's true, they do travel a lot, they are they work in corporate business, they have an interest in customer experience, they have an interest in AI, so probably we will be in the same lookalike profile. So probably we will be target similar, and we will see the same communication, the same offer. Obviously, if I do have a lot of information about us, even anonymous, we are part of the same group. And so the question is, should be regulated also the grouping? So when you create a lookalike profile that is not Luisella, is not my name and surname, but is really, I'm part of this group that has really similar behavior. And so since we do have similar behavior, it's easy to predict that, we will take a flight in 2 days, we will need this kind of communication, or what we will appreciate or not. And so a lot of discussion right now are in limiting also this usage of third-party data for grouping activities. And to reply in short, yes, these limit, obviously, what you can do with algorithm. And especially, sometimes my concern, because I'm an optimistic in terms of usage of technology, is that in Europe we do have much more boundaries, compared to US or compared to Asia. And so the risk is that, in Europe we stay a bit behind compared to maybe other area of the world that they have a bit less limitation in the usage, also in an anonymous way of the data.
Okay. What skills and resources an effective AI implementation requires? I think this is just a topic for a webcast on its own.
That's a big question, a big elephant. So I will try to slice the elephant, or
what skills and resources?
I mean, it depends obviously by what you want to do. Okay, I'm not, sometimes my advice to company is that many companies right now, they say, okay, we need to do AI, and they hire, I don't know, let's hire 50, 20 data scientists. And then you have a lot of data scientists that, okay, they don't know really what to do, or maybe they are busy on projects that they will never see the light, because maybe it was the wrong question they were starting with. So if you are like approaching AI, my suggestion is like to first step outsource it. So there are many companies that offer, something that you can simply switch on. Obviously you need to use your first party data, but then you just apply an algorithm and you start seeing the result. And this is like, a kind of soft way to start to also understand better what you really need.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Start with outsourcing before you start hiring people and training people.
Exactly. So
to see what you actually need.
Yeah, people should be trained on how to use the system, because what I told you, okay, if you take the classic example in customer service, okay, that is a classic example that instead of having, a lot of people into the call center, you start having chatbots that are replying to basic questions. Usually what you do, there are a lot of advantage, because a chatbot or a voice bot, is 24/7 and can reply really well to standard questions. So you need first to understand what are the questions this chatbot is able to reply to, because are not every question. Is a specific set, and is also, I was reading a research a couple of days ago that we had like a fast hyping chatbot in 2016. People, they were extremely disappointed because they were pretending that a chatbot was acting exactly like a human to reply to any kind of question. No, it's not okay. So then now a lot of companies, they realize, and there is a rise also on the chatbot in more B2B environment, that a chatbot is good in replying to specific questions related to a specific domain, because you program it to do it. So customer service, okay, typical questions are, for instance, solving a specific problem, or telco case is top up, your credit in your SIM card. So all this really, really specific. So you do know what the chatbot should do, specific question 24/7. As I was mentioning before, for complex question, you need to have the human person, but the human step by step can train the chatbot to reply to more and more difficult questions. The usual way you do, the chatbot reply to a couple of questions. The customer has another question is not able to reply to the chatbot. So the chatbot call up the human and say, please human, help me. And in the meantime, the chatbot is trained. So probably next time the chatbot can reply also to this more complex question than before. So it's a really collaboration in the time being, and obviously the chatbot will become hopefully more and more smart and able to reply to more questions.
We have more questions, but I will let you continue a bit.
Okay.
And I will bring the questions As you show a couple of more slides. We got stuck on one slide.
Okay.
The conversation is very interesting, but let's see,
Yeah.
because I know that you have great test case examples.
Okay. So I will go a bit faster on this. I mean, you were seeing a good and bad industry in customer experience, but I think if I can summarize, you have retail usually are better, and you have people, they have challenges a lot with airlines, insurance, TV, internet, and so on. But I think I'm not sharing with you something new. I mean, something that I was sharing with you before, also that we are back to what we were mentioning, why machine learning could be really good for the concept of micro moments. I was giving you this example of e-commerce, but could be in any situation. So it means just imagine that you are really, the context is really different. If you are at home in your sofa and you are watching TV, or you are at the airport running to catch your flight, you are in a different context, and so it means you're in a different micro moments. So in the past, it was really difficult to understand the context you are, and so to provide this, let's say, content, communication, that was really the right moment, but also the right message for you in that context, because we didn't have this information about the context. Now we do have a lot of data, a lot of information, that a lot of data are coming also from your mobile phone, can be your location. It could be where you are, what you are doing in that moment, and this we can use to understand in which micro moment you are, to understand your intent. So again, back to predict what you would like to do, not even in this moment, but the next moment you are going to have. And so this is the concept of being predictive and suggest you, a content, a message, a communication even before you need it. And this is called sometimes also digital empathy. Because why is empathy? Because it's a great customer experience, because I offer you even before, a moment before you think about this, what you really need. Obviously, this is how you do it, again, with a lot of data analysis, and algorithm can help you out. I'm just going to, I will be a bit faster, in the next slide, but I wanted to simply share with you that usually when we talk about AI right now, there are three big macro categories, activities that we do. Automation is really well known. Automation usually is done for doing in automatized ways some really standard activities that can be done by a machine. And usually this is really good, because it can permit you to have a really good cost saving, and people are not anymore busy maybe in administrative activities that sometimes are really boring. So often is a win-win. Then there is the most complex, that is decision-making support. Again, I do provide some information helping you to take the right decision. Why machines are better? They analyze in milliseconds big amount of data. They can identify patterns that we human, we are not able to see. And they can suggest, also based on historical information, analysis, and so on, sorry, what is the right thing to do. Then we do have the big area of conversational, called also digital assistant. This is the way, is usually based on natural language processing, is the way you do interact with machine. So what does it mean? It's something that, in the past, if you think about, 1995, you were like having a keyboard and you were interacting with your computer with the keyboard. Then with the mobile phone, you were interacting with the mobile phone and also with picture, because if you think about Facebook, Instagram, just people are sharing picture information and so on. Now the way we do interact with machine is talking to them, and this is a big innovation for we as human, because we interact with machine in a human way. And so this is something, is a layer you put on everything. So it's not, is again really horizontal, because you can interact with any system with simply talking to machine. Then what I would like to give you really short are a couple of examples. Because, for instance, related to automation, this is an example from Oracle itself. It's something that we started implementing a couple of years ago, and now is really effective. And believe me, I mean, from an employee point of view, is fantastic. So it's also back to the employee experience. We are all happy about this. So what does it mean? We are automatizing the way we do process our expense note. So right now there is an algorithm that is analyzing all the expense note from 175 countries. So is able to deal with, you know, all the different kind of also a kind of activities that you do in different countries, all the different regulation and so on. So it does it, and you know, without entering in the details, what we do have as employee experience, that we can use our smartphone. I mean, and we can use our chat and the smartphone. You know, you take a picture of the expense note. These automatically go to the system. There is an algorithm that is analyzing it. And then simply you sign, you say go. So you don't do anything anymore, you know, in the system, on Excel or whatever.
This is great because it increases the productivity of the employees. With this system, they can work on things that they create value for the company instead of putting an expense report in the system.
Exactly, and that's the point. I mean, automation often is not only cost saving, it's like it's really good for employee. Because you don't spend your time doing activities that are boring, you don't want to do and so on, but you can be more productive, more creative, and you create much more value for the company. Then I'm not going to stop in this slide because I was mentioning to you also some of those, like, you know, regarding to human capital management and so on, and commerce. What I would like, because I believe is most interesting for you, I would like to share some example, real life example of some cases we were doing. FIFA, I do like it a lot. I mean, we do have a FIFA and NHS that are like the classic users of an algorithm for recognizing some patterns. And what does it mean? Okay, for instance, FIFA, they do have a lot of issues with, you know, fake football match. So it means that they are used for money laundering. So many people, they are like creating this fake match and people, they are betting. So there is a market that is around 140 billion. So it's really big. And actually they didn't have a lot of way to understand it. What we have done, so we were putting together an algorithm that is able to recognize what are like the weak sign. What is a weak sign? So it means that maybe a match is not, there is no TV transmission of this match. There is no mention into social network. There is, for instance, no Twitter no tweet about this match. There is no sign. There is, I mean, people, they are not collecting in a physical place where there is the match. So all of these you can analyze, I mean, not only with social listening, but also with other data related to geolocation, where people gathering and so on. So all these weak sign, what they say, okay, there is, you know, I don't know, a kind of threshold, there is 70% of probability. And obviously you want to look also the way machine learning works, usually give a range of probability. So you want to test, there is a 70% probability that this match never happened, so is a fake match, and then obviously there is again a human that is checking, okay, this is a fake match. Is an example of a machine able to identify weak signal and recognize the patterns, and you know, for a human will be extremely different. Really similar example, NHS, what they are using an algorithm to do. They also receive a lot of requests for treatment that maybe people that are requiring sometimes not the right treatment, or maybe again there is some fraud involved. Again, the algorithm is able to identify and give, you know, a probability score. Let's say, okay, I think that this is like a fraud, or maybe this is not the right treatment because maybe this person has some issue with his heart, and maybe is like asking, you know, a treatment for something else. And this is also really useful because for NHS it's not only a big cost saving, but is also, you know, allocating the right people to the right activity. Another example, in short, I want to share, and this I love, is a project we have done with Coca-Cola HSBC. Is the way Coca-Cola, they do use, actually they don't sell only Coca-Cola, you know, but they do a portfolio of beverage and of product. And usually, before introducing this, they were sending people called hunters, just restaurant by restaurant, bar by bar, to just double check if this restaurant was open maybe to buy not only the Coca-Cola, but also other beverage, other product. And then this hunter was like input his feedback into a system for the sales manager. And the sales manager was like adjusting his routing to say, okay, the bar A, the restaurant A has more probability to buy the portfolio compared to B or C. Okay. They substituted it, they found a way that is even more efficient. So it means the hunters, the first level, is not done anymore only by a human, but is done also by the algorithm. What does it mean? We are tracking some signs that are also what is like close by to this restaurant. Do there is a school? Do there is a stadium? Do there is some activities? Do there is also for maybe a match or something that why people they should gather it? What are also the ranking about this restaurant on social media? What are like the social demographic information about who usually go to this kind of restaurant? Do there are points of interest? So they do collect all this information, plus also some IoT information. It means Coca-Cola has some IoT fridge that are going to give you data about, okay, that a certain product is going to finish, and so automatically send a warning, okay, maybe I need more Coca-Cola Zero and so on. So all those data collected together are like giving a heat map where the sales guy see in the heat map which one is the restaurant with more probability, to accept, not only, that need more Coca-Cola, but accept also a wider portfolio of product that is not the Coca-Cola only, but is other beverage. And this is really useful, and I think is a classic, it's a complex case, but just to explain what are some examples.
I know that you will share a video on Ferrari, and I've seen that before, yes. But I was just thinking when you were giving the example, imagine that you approach a vending machine somewhere in the world, and it recognizes you. Yes. And it just gives a promotion code. If you buy this, you will get the second one for half of the price. Wouldn't that be great, or is that already happening?
No, it would be great. I think we could have some issues in the sense, let's assume if you accept to be recognized by the machine, then it's okay. Right now, all these, this is a deep learning algorithm. Usually, they limit what they can do because usually they recognize, let's say, what is your age range, if you are like your gender, some of these characteristics, simply because it's a bit, it could be against your privacy, recognize exactly you, and to give something to you. But, if you accept and you say, okay, I see the value, then could be okay. For a specific promotion, can say, okay, I recognize the mat and I give you, 10 Coca-Cola for free because you are like a really loyal customer. The way, that's really another interesting point. For instance, facial recognition right now, and we are using in several retail store, is used also to send you the right content. What does it mean? And sometimes you don't need to understand perfectly, have name and surname, but you know that you are like a woman and you are in a certain age. You are a woman and not a man. Already is important. You are in a certain age range, and so probably you prefer to have certain clothes or certain accessories instead of other. So when you are passing in the store, if I do have, a monitor or a screen, I can show you, the right content, the right promotion that are fitting with you because I recognize you with the facial recognition. Or, I can even implement, other, for instance, proximity marketing with beacon and so on. That, when you're really close to an item, I send you a push notification in your phone to really saying, hey, this is really for you, the mat, because I know that you wear looking at those shoes maybe 1 month ago, now they are discounted and so on.
Yeah, so, these are all great examples to improve the customer experience.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Across different touch points.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 5 minutes left, Lucile. Yes. I'm wondering whether you want to show the video.
Yes, I would like to show the video, and let's launch the video first, and then we do comment the video together.
Okay, thank you. Great video.
Yeah, and you know,
so this shows it's a privilege to own Ferrari because we recognize you.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a privilege because obviously you own a Ferrari, so you are privileged, but also because the customer experience you have is great, and you know it's following you, and is the concept that I was explaining before, the one at the micro moment, and to just predict what you want next. Mm-hmm. And you see, this is the case of taking also the data from everything, also from the car itself, that is sharing information about you, and offer you something that is really, you feel like loved, as I was saying before, because this is specifically for you. I would like to close our today session with just a research that I found really funny. I mean, we were running this research with Future Workplace, and actually what emerged, I mean, we interviewed around 9,000 people in 10 different countries. It emerged that 64% of the people, they trust more to a bot, an algorithm, than to their manager. And this, you know, was really funny. I would like, maybe we don't have time now, but I would like to ask the audience, I mean, if you would trust more your manager or a bot. I mean, maybe you agree with the panel. But, you know, this is like interesting to be, it means that people, they don't fear anymore AI, but actually they have a lot of trust. I mean, obviously then if you deep dive in the reply, they do trust the bot more for, you know, understanding really you know, standard question, I mean, about processes, about what to do and so on. But when they need a mentor, when they you need someone advising them, when they need empathy, still they prefer the manager. So at least it's good.
It's an interesting example. And actually, this already shows the speed of change. If you have given this example 10 years ago, maybe that 64 would be at 24, but this is increasing at a very big rate. Okay, we had some questions that we could not answer, but do not worry. I promise that we will send replies to those questions by email, to the ones we couldn't answer. And I do hope you have enjoyed watching this webcast. We have several webcasts, and we talk about hot topics as AI, digitization, customer experience strategy, CX measurement metrics in our councils, which is, as I've said, a peer networking group. Please spend a couple of seconds to evaluate this webcast so that we improve ourselves for the future ones. Thanks again for attending, and thanks a lot, Luisella, for coming all the way from Milan to Brussels for this webcast.
Thank you, Nimet.
Thank
you.
you.